X1 looks like a little compact point and shoot, but it's really but it's not. It's got a really big sensor inside the camera. A typical compact digital camera has got this little guy in it. This has this big guy in it.
Is this a full frame sensor? It's
not a full frame sensor, it's an APS-C sensor, so it's the same size sensor as most 35mm DSLRs have.
And is this considered a point and shoot or an SLR?
It's considered a point and shoot camera, a compact digital camera is what we refer to them as, but it's really got the performance of a digital SLR in a compact. And that was the goal of Leica in it. Leica's famous for our lenses. I handed you earlier one of our lens elements are all glass lenses. The lens on this basically is the same kind of optics we use on our famous M series rangefinder cameras that are world-renowned for their optics. It's an all-glass lens. The camera's all made in Germany. So this is the only digital compact camera that's actually made in Germany. But it features an all-glass lens, has a spherical lens element. The lens in this camera is specially tuned for the CMOS sensor in the camera. This is the first Leica digital camera with a CMOS chip inside of it.
What is the CMOS sensor?
It's a charged metal oxide sensor.
Excellent. Okay, great. And that's good for...
Well, the reason why we use that is the CMOS sensor can actually do some processing on board the camera. So it actually does the autofocus and the metering off the chip in the camera, and there's no shutter in this camera. It doesn't need those pieces. So it simplifies the construction of the camera and utilizes the computing power and the processing power of the chip. It also gives you better performance at really high ISOs. And this camera features an ISO range of 100 to 3200 ISO.
I was going to ask you that. So
exactly.
That means it shoots in
very low light conditions. And the lens on here is actually a 24mm f2.8, but for that sensor size, it's a 36mm f2.8. And 35mm is a classic Leica focal length. So all the street photographers, a classic Leica photojournalist, Cartier-Bresson, those guys, typically used a 35mm lens in their Leica cameras. And so this is really a compact camera that sort of has some of that same classic Leica feel and, you know, really can do the same kind of things that those classic M cameras can.
So now, if you were to sell me this camera,
sell you this camera, okay?
I'm going to tell you I have a 5-year-old.
Okay.
And I go out at night with my friends.
Okay.
And I want a camera that I can use for a variety of different purposes.
Okay.
How does this camera work for me in my lifestyle?
How does this camera work for you in your lifestyle?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's got all kinds of options.
Okay.
If you're wanting to be really quick and spontaneous, we've got the mode dials up on top. So we've got, you know, we can set both dials to A, which sets in program mode. So you don't have to think about your exposures.
A for automatic.
A for automatic.
Excellent.
But if you want to be more creative and you want to play around and make something more artistic, you can take control of the camera. We can set the exposure manually on the camera.
Okay.
Or we can set the aperture dial to A, be in aperture priority mode. Select our aperture, be more creative about our photography if we want to. Or if we don't need to, we don't. We can set it to A's and let the camera set our exposures for us. It also shoots at 3 frames a second. It has 11 AF, including face tracking, face recognition in it. So it can recognize faces, adjust focus for that, and exposure. So it's going to give you the best results.
And what are the megapixels?
Megapixels, it's 12.2 megapixels.
Okay.
The camera has a unique sort of pop-up flash. We call it a ballpoint pen action flash.
Okay,
and it's very similar to the way a ballpoint pen snaps in and out. But the flash on this camera doesn't pop up automatically.
Okay.
You have to tell it when to pop up, which is great if you're in like a museum like the Met or someplace like that, or MoMA where they don't allow you to take flash photography. You're in control.
How easy is it to navigate the menu and submenus of this camera?
That's something that Leica always prides ourselves on, is simplicity of operation.
Okay.
I mean, just like the mode dials
here
on top to tell you exactly what's going on, we try not to bury things in menus.
Okay.
We try to keep the menus as simple and straightforward as possible.
Okay.
But, you know, this camera really is pretty specialized. I mean, it's really meant for very high-end enthusiasts that are looking for a camera like this. It has lineage back in the film days. We made a camera called a Mini Lux, which had a 35mm fixed lens on it, shot 35mm film. Other manufacturers made cameras very similar to that every pro carried in their bag as a backup. It was a little camera that was it's really a visual notebook camera to me. That this is a camera that if I'm going someplace traveling, want to travel really, really light, don't want to take an SLR, but still want that same image quality, this is the camera that'll give it to me.
Yeah.
A really compact camera.
Does it come with a
There's a lens cap that comes with it, yeah.
Okay.
There's also accessory attachment point on here that this ring comes off, so that in the future, items like a lens hood or other accessories can thread on
Okay, great.
to give you more versatility.
It's great. It's very light. I mean,
It's
it's
very
light,
light.
but it's solid. You don't feel like it's just gonna, you know.
It's got a
blow
magnesium
away.
chassis inside of it, so it's constructed just like our larger M series cameras. It's just, you know, a great little piece.
That's great. And this is for the tripod.
Got a tripod socket at the bottom of it, yes.
Love it. Great camera.